Bunch of this Georgia Tech team wants to show out today.
North Carolina won the toss, deferred to getting the football in the second half, and this is Eric Singleton. Out across the 20 and dropped at the 23-yard line. Haynes King grew up in Longview, Texas. He was a four-star high school recruit, signed originally with Texas A&M. After a redshirt year, he was a starter as a redshirt freshman, but then he got hurt. Missed the rest of the year, transferred to Georgia Tech a year ago, and mighty good numbers, taking care of the ball.
Exactly, that completion percentage really sticks out as well. 74%, fourth in the country, and that just keeps your offense efficient and keeps them on the field to allow them to sustain these drives. But you said it, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception, that's getting it done.
They fake the jet sweep and then dump it off to Avery Boyd, wide receiver turned tight end, and he's a good one.
And that's been a little bit of the new wrinkle for this Georgia Tech offense ever since their bye week. They beat Duke last week in a great game, but opening up this offense, not playing in a phone booth. It's been an area of emphasis. Haynes King, everyone knows about his legs. That's usually his calling card, but now that he's an experienced quarterback, certainly settling in as a big-time pocket passer as well.
They hand it off to Jamal Haynes, and he's right up through the gut, close to another first down. They got 11 on the first play, and he's about maybe half a yard short.
Let's look at our ace ump cam right here, and you're seeing Jamal Haynes, the quickness to burst through that hole, the former receiver, which, Tom, I'm sure he gets annoyed with that at some point. He made the switch last year, and it feels like that's the talking point with him all the time, but has that versatile nature to him, being a former slot receiver, now in the backfield full time.
Well, it's been the best thing that's ever happened to his football career. Jet sweep, and that'll be enough for a first down. Crossing midfield, that's Singleton. And they'll use him and a couple of other receivers in the run game.
Him and his buddy Malik Rutherford as well. And this is what they want to be. It's not a triple option attack, because I know that's a different era of Georgia Tech football, but they use a lot of these jet motions to get the ball on the edge, as we're seeing the former Heisman Trophy winner right there.
That's Chris Henke, the former Heisman winner out of Florida State, Chris Winkie, and he is now assistant head coach for Georgia Tech. Well, he was a good player. I mean, you say, duh, he won a Heisman Trophy, but he hung around the NFL for a number of years, right down the road in Charlotte.
What a Heisman class that was, too. You had LaDainian Tomlinson, a bunch of big-time. Drew Brees was a finalist. Not too shabby to beat both those guys out.
Haynes, good protection, rolling right, lofts it down the sideline, and he had a man open. That was Singleton. And of course, defense it's been rough going for North Carolina during this 3-game losing streak, to say the least. They gave up 70 points in that shocker against James Madison. They gave up 53 in the first half. Now, the last couple of weeks, they haven't been too bad. They blew a 20-0 lead, but when you give up 21, you're supposed to win in college football. Yeah,
coming out of meetings, you might as well think they have a strong defense. They certainly have talent. It's a matter of putting it together.
They pick up the blitz. Haynes lets it fly, and he overshoots the intended target. And a stop for the Tar Heels on defense.
It's good pressure up the middle by big Kevin Hester Jr., the defensive tackle, and Haynes King holding his right arm. As a former quarterback, that always makes me uncomfortable when you're throwing and you get hit up under the rib cage a little bit. You never know how it's shoulder, elbow, hand. These are defensive tackles, Javari Ritzy and Kevin Hester for North Carolina, that are great pass rushers, which you don't always say from the defensive tackle spot.
Elijah Huzzy stands back at his own 10-yard line. And what a beautiful punt that will be downed inside the 5, down to the 3, maybe even the 2-yard line by David Shanahan. Well done. So tough field position for the Tar Heels. You're watching CW Football Saturday, presented by Verizon.
9-9.
Great stuff, and thank all of you who have come to help in a time of need for so many in our country. Hampton on first down just dives forward. Let's see where they're going to spot the football. Apparently only a gain of 2. Hampton, a man to keep an eye on.
Without a doubt, going to get a lot of touches in this ball game, as we're seeing the man right beside him, Jacolby Criswell, Started the year as the third-string guy. Max Johnson was the starter. Another transfer from Texas A&M, got hurt in week 1, and Criswell has now established himself as the starter.
He's going to keep it and slides down close to a first down. It's when he goes into the slide where they'll mark it. I mean, he's right there. It is enough for a first down. You know, the whole Criswell story is pretty amazing. A 4-star prospect in high school, the number 2 player in all of Arkansas. He originally came to North Carolina to play for Mack Brown. Over 3 years, he only played in 14 games. So he took off for Arkansas expecting to be the starter there. That didn't happen. And then he reached out and said, hey, I'd like to come back and get my degree at North Carolina. And they wouldn't promise him he'd start. They wouldn't promise him he'd be the number 2 guy. And here he is, a starter. As you mentioned, after the original injury to Max Johnson. And then he replaced Connor Harrell.
And very much a byproduct of the age of college football we're in, where transfer portal, there's a lot of movement, but with the extra year of COVID eligibility, Criswell comes back with 2 years left. You mentioned it, Tom. He left North Carolina when Drake May cemented himself, thinking, hey, I'm going to go play elsewhere, and things come full circle. His buddies were still here at North Carolina, and now he's the starting man.
2nd down and 9, and that was a design run by the quarterback. He didn't find the hole up the middle, losing his footing. And he carries out close to the 20-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down for North Carolina. Let's call it 3rd and 5.
And this, to me, we said it in the open, is a critical down for North Carolina. Defensively, they got off the field on their first 3rd down last possession. But offensively, 3rd down's a quarterback down. Jacolby Criswell, he's got to execute. His completion percentage at 53% this year, that's not high enough. And staying on the field, not wasting opportunities, is key for this offense.
Only 39% on the year on 3rd down is North Carolina. And what a beautiful throw along the sideline. And the catch is made for a Tar Heels first down.
And right on cue, what a ball this is. You see the arm talent, pressure in his face, gets it out, back shoulder ball. You cannot throw it any better than that. It's literally painted on the back shoulder. It's good awareness by Kobe Pacer on the outside.
Play action down the middle of the field. Great defense. Broken up by Tay Seymour. Seymour played very well last week in the win over Duke.
This is good timing. This is an accurate throw, just a better defensive play. Seymour has the opportunity, or he has the ability to break on the ball right there. It's a good job getting his right hand in there. And if you're North Carolina, especially for a quarterback still settling in with Criswell, you got no problem with that. Get the ball out of your hands on time. It's accurate throw.
Be interesting to see how well North Carolina can run it this year, or this game, as Hampton is flipped over. Harvey coming up to chop him down.
To have a corner that can get involved in the run game like that, we said it, Hampton's an NFL back. Don't tell Amari Harvey that. He's saying, I'll meet you in the hole. They talk about this kid's competitive nature. He's done a good job channeling his emotions to have it benefit his game and not take away. They feel like their corners are playing at a high level.
3rd down and 10. Blitz coming, and the ball is loose. And it looks like Georgia Tech has recovered it. Coming hard on the blitz. And able to strip it away was Gibbs.
I think they got Saeed Gibbs, the safety, rolling down and got him on a blitz package on the outside edge. It's a great job getting the ball as well. Criswell trying to step up in the pocket. Georgia Tech talked about it, different pressure packages that they can get to. One of the first 3rd downs in this game, they dial up a safety blitz. Brent Key's got to love that play from his defense.
Well, this is one of the most improved defenses in all the country. They allowed 221 rushing yards per game last year. This year, they're only giving up 87, which is 13th best in the country. Quick throw, wide open to tight end across the middle of the field. That's a first down to the 22-yard line. That's Rylan Godey, transfer senior from Mississippi State.
Fake the dive action to Haynes out of the backfield. Little pop pass to Rylan Godey. Coach Key awarded Godey the Offensive Player of the Week after their Duke win last week, along with the offensive line. Godey played 75 snaps last week as a reserve tight end. That's a thin tight end room, but they're going to count on Godey consistently.
They hand it back off to Jamal Haynes, and he'll be busy. Now, we were starting to talk about Haynes. He comes here as a wide receiver. They redshirt him. The next year, he has 0 offensive stats. He doesn't catch a pass. He barely plays at all. And they come to him and say, hey, look, we'd like you to go to running back. Last year, he rips off over 1,000 yards. And he's on his way to doing it again.
And he's healthy, too, which is the biggest sign. The bye week for them 2 weeks ago came at a great time. But they love this guy. It's really come on for him.
Pump fake. Haynes can run it. And he's inside the 10, down to the 5. Slips inside the 5 to the 4. It'll be 1st and goal for the Ramblin' Wreck. A 14-yard run for Haynes King.
And this is what makes King so dangerous. You're covered. You got all the receivers covered. He's able to step up in the pocket, find that vacated lane, use his legs, pick up a first down. And defensively, that's a solid play. You covered well, but you left one vacated A gap to allow King to slip through.
Well, they bring in short situation a running quarterback. And that is Zach Pyron. He has 4 rushing touchdowns this season, and all 4 have come inside the 2-yard line.
I wonder how much of that, too, is just to ensure that Haynes King stays healthy.
We've got an injured Yellow Jacket on the field. We'll tell you who that is when we come back. Georgia Tech knocking on the door.
UNLV squad coming to Corvallis.
Yeah, their only loss, of course, was to Syracuse a week ago. What a year the Orange are having. Chad Alexander takes a handoff and is stuffed right at the line of scrimmage. It brings up a 3rd down and goal.
When we took our commercial break, Rylan Godey was the injured player. That's a key injury for Georgia Tech if he remains down. That's a tight end room like we talked about that's already thin coming into this game. The Yale transfer Jackson Hawes was questionable. Josh Betham was out this week. You have some young players there, so that could be big, especially for a Georgia Tech offense that likes getting to different personnel groups. You might be limited throughout the rest of the game if you only have one tight end you can get to.
Georgia Tech #1 in the ACC in red zone offense, and cash it in yet again. That's their 22nd trip inside the red zone and 18 touchdowns. That's getting it done. And what a play. Even Scott from Scott's is pumped up after seeing that score for Georgia Tech.
What a week Chad Alexander's had. Got put on scholarship this past week, and then right on cue gets a touchdown on the road.
Point after for Aiden Burr. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is good. So the former walk-on, who got 10 carries a week ago, best day of his young career, delivers the first score of the game. CW Football Saturday, presented by Verizon. Player in the history of football, Lawrence Taylor.
Can you imagine lining up against those guys?
No.
You're a poor, just offensive tackle, true freshman. On scout team, you got Lawrence Taylor and Julius Peppers across from you.
Peppers on his way to the Hall of Fame.
I remember
Taylor's already there, but congratulations to Julius Peppers. He played, of course, both basketball and football here for the Tar Heels.
In college, I played with Leonard Williams, one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL right now. We literally had to change practice periods because those guys were unblockable. With Lawrence Taylor back in the day, I'm sure they were structuring practice around him.
Yeah, I remember John Madden. In fact, John Madden used to say that Lawrence Taylor was the best football player that ever lived.
Yeah. When you're saying he's the best defensive player, I got no pushback there.
Having to get rid of it and missing an open receiver under heavy pressure that time was Criswell, and they're coming from all angles.
And they're coming on the edges, too, against the North Carolina offensive line with young tackles. You can sense that that's an area of emphasis for Georgia Tech in this game. And I think on this drive, it's critical to get Omarion Hampton running. or get him rolling. Don't let this game get away from you and get down 2 scores, because then you're really going to have to be pass happy. You got an NFL back in your backfield, use him.
Well, they're going to find him. But in a pass-catching role, 3 carries so far today for Hampton, and only 4 yards. We talked about it. North Carolina, a top 30 rushing team in all of college football, almost 200 rushing yards per game. Georgia Tech, the 11th best rushing defense in the country. Something's got to give. So far, Georgia Tech getting it done.
Good tackle right there by Kyle Eifert, too. The middle linebacker spot in space, one-on-one with Hampton, to come down with that tackle and not allow him to get yards after the catch is big.
Be a 3rd down and 7. And off target. He had an open receiver that would have been very, very close to a 1st down. But that's going to be it for North Carolina. They'll punt it away.
And that's the concern going into this game, or an area that Criswell needs to get better in, some of those accuracy throws. And as a quarterback, if you're already struggling a little bit with accuracy and then you start getting hit, the mechanics can start faulting, and then the accuracy concerns get even worse. Georgia Tech heating things up on this offense. You didn't have a safety further than 7 yards downfield. They're trusting their man coverage in the back end and saying, we're coming after you.
McGinnis, a punter. And Shelley waits back. Very short end-over-end punt. He will get a favorable bounce. And it finds a sideline inside the 35-yard line. Trevor, nice day for you down there, young man.
It's a gorgeous day for football, of course, and a gorgeous day to remember all those affected by that terrible disease that is cancer. It is Cancer Awareness Week here for the UNC football program. And as you heard Mack Brown mention, this one is particularly special. Number 13, Tylee Craft, a former wide receiver for the program, is actually being honored by J.J. Jones. Usually rocks number 5 for the Tar Heels, this week wearing number 13 for his down brother.
And they're going to have a special moment here at the end of the 1st quarter, which we will bring to you. It's really tough. There are a lot of sadness around this North Carolina football team right now. 1st down, handoff to Haynes. He crosses the 35, picks up 3. That'll bring up a 2nd down and 7. And Georgia Tech going no huddle.
Seeing the Tylee shirts, number 13, everyone wearing. Mack Brown was wearing it in his interview with Trevor.
They get it out quickly into space, and that is run down beautifully along that line of scrimmage by Carolina's defense. No gain on the play, maybe even lost a yard. That's a big fella getting down the line there.
Kevin Hester doing some good things for this defense. Coach Collins says if he keeps playing like this, he's going to have a bright NFL future. This is a defensive line that has a ton of talent, and it's a defense as a whole that has not been playing well this season. To me, this is the group that's got to step up. It has enough talent, has some difference makers across that line to really make an impact.
Flags thrown before the snap of the football. You know, North Carolina getting some guys back that they were really counting on from a health standpoint.
Yeah, you got
offense 72. That penalty, 3rd down.
You know, they've been basically without Kamen Rucker, who's a big sack specialist for them. They've had a number of other players that have been nicked up here. Everybody gets hurt, but when you have guys you're really counting on and they're out 3, 4, 5 weeks, you're asking young players to step in there and play as true freshmen. They didn't look ready for that snap of the football. And broken up beautifully down the sideline, looking for Singleton. Outstanding coverage.
I think that was strategic, Tom. I think they looked over to the sideline trying to lull North Carolina to sleep. Then a quick snap of the ball to knowing they're going to take a vertical shot down the field. Great coverage on the outside.
That's Marcus Allen, 2nd-year starter. He had 9 tackles in the game against Georgia Tech last year. The last 2 games of this series, Georgia Tech has won each one of them by 4 points.
That was creative, though. They definitely did that on purpose, and credit this North Carolina defense for getting up the field on 3rd down.
Penalty flag down behind the line of scrimmage. And they're just going to let that one bounce. Got to come up and get that. I mean, they've started one drive already inside the 5, and this one barely outside the 5, but they may be forced to punt it again. That's a 60-yard punt after that bounce. North Carolina is certainly going to
more than 4 plays appeal. It's a 5-yard penalty. We'll replay 4th down.
I was going to say they're definitely going to ask him to punt it again because you don't want to start another drive right around the 5-yard line.
And that's big. Not only was there probably a 10-yard roll of the football, but just not being backed up allows you to call different offensive plays to start this drive with a quarterback that you're trying to settle in.
Elijah Huzzy will now move all the way up to the 35-yard line. As a punter, David Shanahan is standing right at the 11. This could be a significant swing in field position depending on the result of this punt. Low line drive, and it bounces out of bounds. So instead of starting at the 7, they're going to start at the 22-yard line. Well, coming up next, NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs roll on. At Charlotte, 8 drivers will advance. 4 others will see their championship dreams come to an end. NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff racing coming up next, only on the CW. There you get a look at the updated standings going into the race later today here on the CW. Well, let's see if they can get, as Max thought they might, to get Hampton going. 3 carries, 4 yards, and they fake it to him. He picks up the blitz and lofted in the air and wide open. Some kind of blown coverage there is J.J. Jones. Huge gain for the Tar Heels to put him inside the 25.
It was good coverage initially. Credit Criswell for stepping up in the pocket, finding that lane, and then he just puts air on this football. And that safety, it's great coverage initially, just gets lost in space. Rodney Shelley, the safety.
Looking to the corner of the end zone, and that'll be pass interference against the defense.
Pass interference. Defense, number 16. 15-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
They're going to get Saeed Gibbs on the pass interference, and Bryson Nisbet. He's a tight end for North Carolina, but defenses really have to treat him as a receiver. He's a mismatch nightmare. You're talking about a tight end body at 6'5", 235 on a nickel player, Saeed Gibbs, 6'1", 190. When they get down into this red zone, Nisbet is certainly a weapon they want to get to.
Handed off to Hampton. Cuts it through the middle, lunges for the goal line, and he's a half a yard short. Wrapped up by Harvey, and they're hurrying to the line of scrimmage.
You see the ace ump cam right here. He presses it in the A gap, and then one cut up. And at 220, that's a load to tackle.
And tiptoeing into the end zone goes the quarterback, Criswell. And a point after away from tying this one up. Scott from Scott's is back and cheering after that incredible play. Really, everything changed on that penalty on the punt.
Totally.
Now, granted, they hit the 53-yard pass, but man, what a difference in maybe your play calling where you're the 7 instead of outside the 20.
Without a doubt, you're not calling that home run shot down the field if you're backed up into your own end zone. No way.
Noah Burnett for the point after, and that will tie things up.
The beauty when you have an NFL running back is every linebacker is going to suck in with that ball fake, and Criswell's got enough mobility to get out on the edge. It's a good response by this North Carolina offense, using both Criswell's arm on the deep shot and his legs as well.
And there's an injured player down on the field. We'll let you know who that is when we're able to see who it is down there. And while we have a moment, let's send it back to Ron and Pitsy in our studios. Gentlemen. All right, Mike, thank you very much.
Fields has done a good job.
He has.
He's coming on every single week. Mike said
healthy.
Yeah.
That doesn't look good. That's Travion Green, their right tackle.
Taking on two dudes right there. That's tough. Even with a man 6'7", 340. That's tough, right? When he looks at his right shoulder.
Yeah.
As a right tackle, having to hold that edge too. When you talk about, I know he got hurt right there on special teams, but when they get to the offensive side of things, we've talked about these young tackles, Green being one of them. If you're not having that edge arm to hold off a rusher, that's tough.
He's got a chance to be a really good one. He played in 13 games as a redshirt freshman a season ago, and a first-year starter in this his sophomore season.
They really flash on tape. You're talking Green at 6'7", 340. Left tackled Sampson at 6'8", 325. They are huge on the offensive line. The biggest thing for me is size is great, but you got to have the quickness to secure your blocks and get to the second level. That to me is the next level for these guys.
I think we may have had an offsides.
Ball's falling off the tees, is being kicked.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Ball came off the tee.
Don't usually see that when it's sunny and zero wind and perfect weather.
No.
That's more of a November thing.
Such a beautiful campus here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Student body right around 34,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. Boy, this is a nice place. They've done an excellent job of the stadium, surrounded by trees. The Dean Dome right next door. We'll be cranking up college hoops in the not-too-distant future here on the CW. ACC basketball, the basketball conference in the country. Every match, every move, every moment. WWE NXT delivers excitement. It's every Tuesday night now. Don't forget, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, only on the CW. We had a chance to visit with all the coaches in the Atlantic Coast Conference over the last number of days. And the Tar Heels are having their scrimmage. You know, it's a big deal at every campus across the country. They were going to have it out of town. But there you see the Dean Smith Center. And a lot of talk about how much longer that place is going to be here. Boy, you talk about a hot button topic. We'll stay away from it. Chad Alexander in the backfield. And he is dropped for a loss on first down.
You'll be pulling double duty here soon, right, Tom?
You got it. Looking forward to it. Aerial coverage brought to you by Lucas Oil. You have Kenan Stadium and the Dean Dome, as they call it. Boy, how many great ones have walked onto that floor. Oh.
Seriously.
I mean, you walk in that building and you look at the jerseys that are hung up at the top of that place. I mean, you just can't believe it. You cannot believe it. Down the middle of the field and overthrown. Boyd had a step on the defender.
Yeah, they worked a little switch vertical concept. They had Boyd down the seam. They had Malik Rutherford trying to run off the safeties. Good job by this North Carolina defense. Ever since that touchdown drive, they've dug in here.
King only 3 out of 7 for 27 yards.
Ever since he got hit, too, under that shoulder, hasn't really had a completion since.
They're down in 10, 4-man rush. King looking around, still looking. He throws across his body, and That one nearly picked off by Elijah Huzzy. So it's a second straight 3 and out, and you wonder, is he healthy right now?
Totally. Mobility-wise, looks fine there, escapes the pocket, and then credit Bo Atkinson, the linebacker for North Carolina right there, I guess really a defensive end. He's running right with Haynes King. Secondary clamps down. That was a key going into this game. This is a thin linebacker unit for North Carolina, so the ability to run with these guys and then get off the field so their conditioning doesn't get tested is huge.
It's a dangerous return man in Huzzy. And he picks up 5 on the return out close to the 40-yard line. So momentum certainly in the Chapel Hill corner for right now. After you get back-to-back stops on defense, you squeeze in a touchdown, and now a chance with good field position to take your first lead.
And the recipe for Georgia Tech to win this game is ball control, win time of possession, stay on the field. Haven't really done that so far. Credit North Carolina. And then the field position turnover element. They've got the turnover, but field position started strong there. But again, North Carolina is starting in an advantageous area.
Officially at the 39-yard line. Hampton in the backfield, hasn't gotten going yet. Good running room there. That's his best run of the day. That'll be a gain of 9 on first down for Omarion Hampton.
That was the first play I noticed, that Georgia Tech went with 2 high safeties, meaning there's 1 less safety in the box to defend against the run. Right on cue, they hand the ball off to Omarion Hampton. It's very much pick your battles if you're Georgia Tech.
Hampton, only a junior, has another year of eligibility. Wide open across the middle is Nesbitt, the tight end. And that'll move the change to the Georgia Tech 40, a gain of 11.
Look at the Ace Hardware ump cam. Love these concepts that get the ball out of Criswell's hands quickly. They want to be down the field. They want to get the ball into the hands of these athletes, but help out your offensive line. Frustrate these pass rushers for Georgia Tech by getting the ball out quickly.
Fake it to Hampton. Criswell. Good move to juke a defender, and he will get a first down and more inside the 30. Steps out of bounds at the 26-yard line. A 15-yard run by Criswell.
Look at this move he makes on Omar Daniels, the safety right there. Just a little hezzy, little pause, gets the edge. Smart play by Nate McCollum as a receiver, not blocking the Georgia Tech linebacker in the back. Gets in the way just enough to pick up an extra 5.
So first down, and this is going to be a receiver throw. Oh boy! And that Mack Brown spoke at length with us yesterday about the influence and the impact that young man has had on his life. He shared with us a story as they had 13 seconds of applause for Ty Lee, but he was in an elevator in the football building with Mack's wife. And they were riding up together, and all of a sudden Ty Lee reaches back and feels a lot of pain in the back area. Well, they naturally assume, maybe having back spasms, something along those lines. It didn't get any better over the next few days. Turns out it was lung cancer. Our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. His mother is as we told you, a police officer in Sumter, South Carolina. This one thrown to the end zone, and it's incomplete. Big shot delivered on the quarterback right there.
Seeing the pressure from the safety spot right there in the A-gap, blitzing from depth, trying to give Nesbitt some air to come down with this thing. Credit the safety play right there by Tay Seymour. And yeah, Tom, the quote that stuck out to me yesterday from Coach Brown about Ty Lee Craft was the glowing example of how to handle adversity. You don't control what happens to you, you control how you handle it. It's been the message to the team over the past 2 years as Ty Lee's been around the group.
This will be a 43-yard field goal try. And that will hook left. Wide left by Burnett, who had such a great year a season ago. And that's only his second miss this year. But that would have given North Carolina its first lead of the game. Boy, some on the campus of the University of North Carolina. Georgia Tech has only lost twice this season. The Tar Heels started the year 3-0. They've lost 3 in a row. But they're playing good defense early on here today. And you know, we talked about, you know, some of the emotions. Talked about Ty Lee, and certainly a very emotional day for Jeff Collins. Many of the kids that he recruited when he had the 8th best recruiting class in the country 3 years ago. Has done a lot of reflecting, he told us yesterday, and trying to come to peace with getting fired. All of us have been down that road, or at least a lot of us have been down that road, and it ain't an easy road. Jet sweep, and that'll be a first down run. Malik Rutherford out across the 35-yard line.
Yeah, you don't always see coaches take a full gap year and step away from coaching entirely. Usually when you get let go, you quickly go to the next job. Jeff Collins, it speaks to how emotional that process was. He took on a tough transition at Georgia Tech. A lot of his guys now having success. We said in the open, these guys are competitive. I'm sure in the back of his mind, he's saying, man, if I just had a couple more weeks, could have turned around. Trying to spark that same energy in his North Carolina defense now.
Jamal Haynes carries up to the 44-yard line.
Yeah, we got North Carolina started 3-0, looking good.
Yep.
The ability to bounce back again. That Week 1 Minnesota win was a great win on the road, especially when you're counting on a backup quarterback to lead you to victory. But past 3 weeks, just tough loss a week ago. Defense hasn't necessarily been playing lights out. You're banged up both on the defensive line and offensive line. This is a get-right week, or a bounce-back week, I should say, for North Carolina in their mind.
That's good enough for a first down by Haynes, as he's up to the 48-yard line. Georgia Tech on the move.
And Brent Key was honest this week. He said these are the most dangerous teams you can play in college football. When you visibly see the talent on film, the record doesn't match the talent you're seeing. And you can come in here with a chip on your shoulder, and your team can maybe sleep on this opponent because you look at their record, only 3-3. But like we said, there's a lot of talent on this Tar Heel roster.
Alexander checks into the game, and he'll get the handoff. And good running room. That's a solid pickup on first down. You know, you look at this this offense of Georgia Tech. I mean, they can really hurt you both on the ground and in the air. But they have not been a good road team. They're undefeated at home. And I mean, they get it done on offense and defense. But when they've gone on the road, both of their losses have come at Louisville and at Syracuse.
Yeah, the true road test. They had the win versus Florida State in Ireland week 0. But you're right, different type of challenge for them.
King just throws it away wisely, so it brings up third down. Our aerial coverage brought to you by Lucas Oil. Of course, that's where the Indianapolis Colts play, Lucas Oil Stadium, where they have the Combine.
I don't care which team you root for. The Carolina blue is sweet, man.
It really is.
It is sweet.
You're
talking about like the best colors, the best color scheme you can have. I don't care who you root for. The baby blue is sweet.
It really is. Third down and 6. They're going to run it third down and 6, and it caught Carolina off guard. Strong running by Alexander, and he's close to the 20-yard line.
Yeah, they just put Jacolby Cowan, the defensive end there for North Carolina, in a bind. Didn't even block him. You're reading him on the edge, and you'll trust the speed of your running back over the size of a defensive end. Love the scheme right there. Like you said, Tom, really catching this North Carolina defense off guard and getting the edge quickly.
Alexander is getting more and more playing time. You weren't with us earlier, a walk-on who just earned a scholarship this past week. And what an emotional day that was for him and his family. Play fake on the run, and they just drop it off out of the backfield.
They're going to get Luke Harping, yeah, on a little slide route. We talked about that this is a thin Georgia Tech tight end room. Harping's a true freshman, really their 4th tight end. And look at this hit right here. Welcome to college football, true freshman. Get your first catch, get your bell rung a little bit, but settle you into this game. Keep an eye on that, too. What packages do they put the true freshman tight end in to get him the ball?
Well, he popped right up. Haynes, pile pushes forward inside the 10. And that will be a Georgia Tech first down. It'll be 1st and goal. And, well, they got some runners now, Trevor.
They absolutely do, and we've spoken with the offensive coaches for Georgia Tech, and what they love about this scheme, or this roster, I should say, is their counter game. You saw in the big game, it was based off of their counter game. Counter goes right. They have the single back running left. Just, again, throw the defense off in any way they can via misdirection schematically.
That's a way you used to run it, Trevor, for the Crimson. Quarterback keeper, and tripped up just before he reached pay dirt. And it was Stick Lane who was able to get him. 2nd and goal from outside the 1.
This time going a little zone read. It's that same pass action they got to Harping a couple plays earlier. Shoestring tackle by Stick Lane. Now this defensive line for North Carolina's got to bow up. It's been a strong drive by Georgia Tech, responding, stringing plays together.
Zach Pyron, he normally runs it when he's in the game, and everybody knows it. And North Carolina slams him for a big loss. And that looked like Travis Shaw leading the pack.
Which is a great sign if you're a Tar Heel fan. The former 5-star right there at the defensive tackle spot. That's just saying, I'm too much man for you to handle. Get under the shoulder pads, make a play in the backfield. On the 1-yard line is night and day different than the 4-yard line that they find themselves here for Georgia Tech.
12th play of this drive. They've been lights out as Georgia Tech in the red zone, scoring touchdowns among the best in the country, as we told you. Their only trip inside the red zone today, they scored a touchdown. But flags all over the field before the snap of the ball, and they might have to reach deeper into that playbook if it's against the Yellow Jackets.
Offense,
yep.
54. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's their right tackle, Jordan Williams, senior out of Gainesville, Georgia.
This is what's unique about Georgia Tech, right? You go to your backup quarterback in some of the running situations. You're thin at tight ends, so you're limited in what you can do with personnel group down here. Your running back is your starter is a converted receiver. Both guys are relatively small. It's just, you have a run identity, but how do you creatively unlock those guys?
So it's 3rd and goal from the 9, and it's broken up. Crossing pattern with an eye on Chase Lane, but how about that sequence of events? You have 2nd and goal from the 1, you get a 4-yard loss and a 5-yard penalty, and now you're kicking.
You call this play mesh wheel. Got a wheel route by the running back out of the backfield, and then, like you said, crossers underneath. It's a man beater, but when the man coverage shows out like it did there, how many places you can go with the football?
Aiden Burr only 4 of 8 so far this season. There's a chip shot here, though, and it is good. 26-yard field goal breaks a tie. 10-7 Georgia Tech. You're watching CW football.
What a nickname.
No doubt. Incredible career,
those plays of NFL teams double covering him in the red zone, 2 corners over the top of him. That's as much respect as you can get as a receiver.
Nate McCollum on the return is still on his feet across the 25. Nicely done by McCollum. And before North Carolina takes over first down, let's send it back to Mike and Pitsy in our studios. Fellas.
First and 10 for the Tar Heels, starting at the 27-yard line.
Hampton in the backfield. Thank you, fellas. 10-7, Georgia Tech leads. 7:27 to play. Best run of the day for Hampton, and look out. He's got a man to beat with a better angle down the sideline, and he's caught in the 30, but a big run. First of the afternoon Powley able to catch up with him and shove him out of bounds. Oh, wait a minute. There's a penalty flag down.
He's going to hit this A-gap right in the left-hand side. Watch this offensive line clear it. You insert the tight end right behind it.
Oh, it's coming back. It's a face mask against the offense.
Oh, I don't even need to do it, too. Trust your running back. He doesn't need your help there. He'll make a miss regardless.
That's J.J. Jones. He's wearing number 13 today.
That's tough, too. I mean, sometimes you can live with the offensive line holding penalties because they're just being physical. But at the second level, when you're getting stretched out, you got to have the awareness to know that your running back's probably cutting up against the grain. Would not be surprised if they get back to that run concept that was unique, inserting the tight end there in the A-gap.
It wipes out a 43-yard run. Ball batted down behind the line of scrimmage. Oh, what a turnaround there on a silly penalty.
Good job by Zeke Biggers. Getting that left paw up.
And he's a big one.
What a name for a D-tackle.
No
Love
doubt.
It.
4-year player, 3-year starter, 6'6", 320.
That's what's so tough, too. If you're North Carolina, getting into these second and longs really minimizes what Hampton, or how big of a factor Hampton can be, because the defense can sag off.
Protection breaks down, and down goes Criswell.
Let's check the all-22, see if anyone was open. He's holding on to the ball for a little while, trying to work some vertical routes on the right-hand side, but you got to get the ball down to your check down on the left-hand side. As a quarterback, when you're settling in, yes, you like the mobility and the ability to create stepping up into the pocket. That's good, but you also have to have that clock in your head saying, where's my safety valve? Get the ball to your hands and save the scramble for the next time.
Sylvain Yunjuan getting the sack, his second of the year. A little wide receiver screen, and that didn't fool anybody. So after getting a 43-yard run by Hampton that was negated due to a penalty against North Carolina, they're going to punt it away. And with 5:50 and counting in the half, Georgia Tech should get pretty good field position.
Third and long, always got to be wary of the screen. That's great recognition there by Jordan Vandenberg. Georgia Tech's D-tackle realizing that, hey, the offensive line's doing something funky there. Let me drop back. Stopped any momentum from that play happening.
McGinnis, short punt. And that's out of bounds. It's going to be very good field position for Georgia Tech. They're going to spot this ball at the 38-yard line. 10-7 Tech. A lot of big games around the country today. Got the
This
Red
was
River
the Saturday
shootout.
everyone was circling before the season.
And you got Texas, the #1 ranked team in the country, playing longtime rival Oklahoma. Of course, both of them moving into the Southeastern Conference. And then tonight, you got a couple of big games. You got Ole Miss playing against LSU, a couple of ranked teams there. And
Got the
then
big
you
one I know
have
you're
the
tracking.
big one. The big
Out in Eugene.
That's right, where the Ohio State University Buckeyes come rolling into town.
I don't know if Ohio State's used to that environment, though, Tom, you know? Autzen Stadium.
I hear you.
57,000 strong.
Be rocking in there tonight. That'd be a fun place to be. This is a throw and a catch. It's good enough for a first down. Jamal Haynes out of the backfield. You know, the recipe for winning and losing is statistically anyway, has really been predicated upon for Georgia Tech on how well it runs the ball. They have 112 rushing yards already, and that's a magic number. In every game they've had more than 112, they win. The only two games they didn't get to 112, they lost. And it's over 112 now. Inside the 45 is Haynes King. Closing in on 4 minutes to go until halftime.
Here's a look at our last play from our ace ump cam. Seeing some of the eye candy, you get sucked in. Haynes King's leg on the outside, and this feels like a critical drive for this North Carolina defense. You've done a solid job. I know you mentioned the rushing numbers. 6 Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets have carried the ball, but Haynes King only 5 for 12 in the first half. You've held strong. This is likely the last drive before halftime. Got to keep momentum on your side.
King got rid of that thing quickly, and maybe a little too quickly. He was under pressure. Ritzy bringing the pressure there, but man, he looked like he had a chance to get around him on the edge.
Look at that. Javari Ritzy, defensive tackle. I've said this a couple times. It's very unique, especially in college football, to have defensive tackles that are big enough and athletic enough to be staples in the pass rush game. Usually it's linebackers and defensive ends, but it shows the athleticism of both Ritzy and Hester as well.
Ritzy 5 sacks on the year. 3rd down, and it's a catch for a first down inside the 35 to Rutherford. Malik Rutherford leads all ACC receivers in reception so far this year.
Seeing the ace ump cam right here, and look at him, he shoves him out of the way. He says, I don't care if I'm 5'9", 170, might be a little bit lighter than that, coach tells us, but he says, get off me. He's got at least 7 passes in 4 of the past 5 games. He's really that touch guy, as they say. Got to find him a way to get him the ball, whether it's in the quick game like we saw there or rushing as well.
Alexander checks into the backfield, and he's up the gut. Crosses a 30 to the 29.
This is where for Mack Brown, too, you got to start thinking about, you got the 2-minute timeout coming up. You've got 3 timeouts on your side. We've seen some coaches try to steal a possession in this moment. I think at this point, he's just going to let him try to trust his defense. You're right on the fringe field goal range. But with that new rule, always something that coaches are having to navigate.
Jet sweep, they put it in the hands once more of Rutherford, and that's good enough for yet another first down. That'll be a gain of 9. And that offensive line for Georgia Tech is starting to create some space in the run game.
Oh, yeah. We're seeing the receivers on the edge, too, getting it done in the blocking game.
That's going to take us down to the 2-minute timeout. Georgia Tech looking to extend this 3-point lead. CW Football Saturday brought to you.
And on the North Carolina side of things, this is a good response drive by Jacolby Criswell. Had a big throw earlier on in that possession, and his legs get in for the touchdown.
Tech has since picked up a field goal and now looking for a touchdown from the quarterback King, and he's in there. 20-yard run. And now a chance to open up a 10-point lead. First play after the 2-minute timeout.
Yeah, this is going to be, it's actually outside. It's more the receiver on the outside as we play it. They're going to dial up the quarterback draw, and then look at the receiver come into the frame at the very end, getting that safety, drives him 20 yards downfield. That's the type of play call that you're coming off the sideline saying, what can we get to? Fringe red zone. What are they expecting? How can we take advantage of that? It's a great job seeing the ace ump cam. See Haynes King get up in a hurry. No one even touches him. And it was Abdul Janai, the slot receiver, that carried that safety into the end zone and made it an easy touchdown for Haynes King.
You know, you look back to last season with King, and some of you are aware of this stat. I was not aware of it. This is a pretty remarkable stat. A year ago, Jaden Daniels, who won the Heisman Trophy, right?
Yep.
And King were the only 2 quarterbacks in all of college football to throw for over 2,800 yards, to rush for over 700 yards, to throw 25 or more touchdown passes, and to run for 10 or more touchdowns.
Yep.
That's getting it done.
Seriously, that's what makes it so tough when you face him, too, is it's kind of like pick your battles, right? Do you want it to be a, hey, let's pack the box? Well, then great. Haynes King can just beat you as a normal pocket passer like you would if you didn't have that mobility. And then, all right, you want to defend against the pass and these weapons that they have, well, then the rushing attack for Georgia Tech, old school a little bit, like their old mentality, can come through.
Our beautiful aerial coverage today brought to you by our friends at Lucas Oil. Keenan Stadium. Got to walk through the woods. You look around for Bambi when you come walking up here as you're making your way through.
Did you go on your run? Your
not this
weekly
morning.
Run through campus?
Yesterday.
Yeah,
Last 2 days.
The noon kick probably makes it tough for that.
Yeah, it makes it a little tough. Although Trevor was down there.
Oh yeah, getting swole as usual.
Baby gap.
I don't care if that hotel weight room's got 1 treadmill and 1 dumbbell. Trevor Scales will find a way.
All right, so plenty of time now for the Tar Heels. They're going to run it on first down, and look out! Hampton had one taken away the last drive. Nothing being taken away this time. No flags on the play. Shelley caught him all the way down at the 4-yard line.
You said it, Tom, and they're coming right back again. They ran this same exact run play to start last drive when they had that shot run play that was taken back. Like you said, Tom, they come right back to it. Give your star player Omarion Hampton space. Keep an eye on this blocking scheme. They're 2 for 2 gashing this Georgia Tech defense with that one scheme. You wash them down to the left, you insert a tight end to the right, and have Omarion Hampton breaking free easily. You see the ace ump cam look at it. See the physicality inside, get to the backers in a hurry. That's something I thought they were missing in weeks past, is you have this big offensive line, but you're not getting to the second level, which just makes it tough for Hampton to really break free. If Georgia Tech's going to walk up those linebackers tight to the line of scrimmage, you can get your big body on them. Hampton can do the rest.
That's the longest play from scrimmage by the Carolina offense this season, a 71-yard run. Trevor, that's the way you used to run it.
Listen, that inside zone insert scheme is a thing of beauty when it hits. That they run it unconventionally, and Omarion Hampton's aiming point is right down the middle of the field, and you see it pay off to a big game there.
Third leading rusher in the nation is Hampton. And 71 on that one and looking for more. Into the end zone, close to it. Did he get there? No signal given. The ball comes loose and a Georgia Tech defender has the ball. But I think they're saying forward progress has been stopped inside the 1.
Look at how physical of a runner this is. Georgia Tech has the edge. Omarion Hampton just runs through that edge defender. No one blocks him. Then he gets stuck up at the goal line. Question here is, when did they blow the whistle? Look at this. They're going to get the edge. It'll be Omar Daniels coming up to try to fill that gap. Hampton runs right through him.
Yeah, they're going to look at this. I think they're letting everybody know that. Or is Mack Brown asking, did they get into the end zone to look to see if the football broke the plane? There might be a lot of things going on here.
Substitution infraction. 12 men in the huddle on the offense. Play also has 10-second runoff options.
So it wasn't any of the above. He didn't get in the end zone. They blew the play dead. There was no turnover. And in all of that, North Carolina has 12 men in the huddle.
Let's see here if there's any sort of fumble. I mean, he keeps fighting. I think they blew him dead before that. But when you see that clip without seeing where the referee comes in, it does look like a fumble, given that Hampton kept fighting and was not down.
Second down, because the game clock was running. That was the reason that we stopped. 10-second runoff applies. Please set the game clock to 52 seconds. Start on my seat.
So ball's out there. Nia's not down. Nia's down there as he gets into the shadow and ball's out. It's going to be totally decided upon whether or not forward progress was decided, and they're not even debating this in the field. It's a quicker whistle by that referee.
And out of the Wildcat formation, that was Caleb Hood. He carries back inside the 5. So it brings up 3rd and goal. Georgia Tech's going to spend a timeout to make sure they're ready for this 3rd down and goal from the 4-yard line. Carolina gets the ball, don't forget, to begin the second half. So, you know, we saw it last week. Score at the end of the half, score at the beginning of the second half. That's how you can win a football game.
And Tom, I'm surprised Brent Key, there wasn't more conversation on the sideline about that fumble forward progress dynamic and whether or not he wanted to review that. It's 17-7. North Carolina's knocking on the end zone of going into the half with a touchdown, making this a 3-point ball game. That's a critical moment in this game.
Yep.
Up here, we were assessing it. We were looking at it frame by frame, but on the field, very little conversation.
Well, with the numbers today, Hampton now the number 2 leading rusher in the country. Big win last night for Arizona State. And then there's your guy, right in the number 1 spot.
The fact that Genty already has 1,000 yards and it's week 7, and he's sat out the second half of 2 games is remarkable.
3rd down and goal. Wide open in the back of the end zone, and that is a North Carolina touchdown. It's J.J. Jones wearing Kraft's number here today. How about that? And you know he's watching right now. Was unable to make it to the game today. But how about that? It's beautiful. Even if you're rooting for Georgia Tech, this is mighty cool.
Number 13 scoring their 13th point in the game, Tom.
How about that?
Right on cue, and a great job by Jacolby Criswell, working through his progressions too. Eyes went to the left right away, trusting his protection in front of him, working back to the right, and finds his man, the big receiver, J.J. Jones on the back line.
That's heaven sent right there. Number 13 with a 13th point. Yep.
Repping the number.
Normally wears number 5, but today, his good friend and thinking about it. He's not up there yet. He's still fighting. But it's certainly taken a turn where he was unable to get here today. Mack Brown was telling us a story in practice yesterday. He'd get finished with his radiation treatment after he was diagnosed with lung cancer that eventually spread into his brain. He would get out of radiation treatment, come here to practice to be with his guys, would get sick on the sideline, and not leave. Mack would say, hey, look, get out of here. Go home and get some rest. He's like, not a chance. I'm staying right here with my guys.
Said, I want to be here. I need this support system, and it was a two-way street. Motivated the UNC football team and his brothers and kept him fighting as well.
And Trevor, in our meeting, I mean, you could tell, we were all there together, how much this is hurting Mack Brown so deep inside.
It really does take a toll on this team, of course, but they have shown at every turn that they are putting forth this effort today for Tylee. Mack made that visit to Tylee over the course of this week and was inspired but also heartbroken by the state that Tylee's in. Knowing that he is the fighter that he is, knowing that he provides the positivity that he does, it hurts Mack to see this, but they want nothing more than to go out and put forth an A1 effort on a day like today.
Great stuff, Trevor. Thank you. So Georgia Tech has 2 timeouts. Here's just they're fine with handing off the football, although look out, he's got a corner to turn and one man to beat and shoved out of bounds inside the 40 down to the 38-yard line. Clock stops with 23 seconds. Well, now maybe you're changing your mind a little bit.
Look at the Ace Hardware ump cam. It's a light box. It's always a decision that defensive coordinators have in these 2-minute situations. Do you want to play coverage? Well, then you leave yourself vulnerable to the run game. North Carolina only had like 4, 4.5, 5 guys in the box. You give one crease, you miss one tackle, it could be a home run.
That was Caleb Koss, throw down the middle, and behind the intended target, and that one could have been intercepted. He was looking for Rutherford. Clock at 19. You're wondering about what kind of leg Aiden Burr has. His long this season is 44 yards.
With 2 timeouts, you can throw the ball over the middle and still stop it.
Or run it with a quarterback who had a 20-yard touchdown run the last time he kept it. And this one is good enough for a first down to the 27. And Georgia Tech spends a timeout. 1 left for Brent Key.
Man, this just kills you if you're North Carolina. Credit Georgia Tech for executing here, but just 2 chunk run plays. See him running behind the big guy on this ace cam. Pulling guard comes around, has no one to block. There's no one there. They're so focused on the passing of what Hayes can do with his arm, and it's a good formation too. Both those plays, Georgia Tech, it's a rare formation for them. They have 4 receivers on the field, and they're really spacing them out. 2 receivers on each side, hugging the sideline. It puts those safeties and those alley defenders, the defenders that have lined up closer to the hash marks, in an absolute bind.
200 rushing yards today for Georgia Tech. 200. They had 245 rushing yards in the win over Duke last week.
And that's what's crazy. You're going to go into halftime if you're North Carolina. Haynes King, 6 for 15. We talked about his completion percentage. You're holding him to only 40%. But the ground game has been the issue.
Quarterback keeper again in big running room. He dives forward close to the 13-yard line, and that'll be the final timeout. 6 seconds remain. All right now, Mack Brown. No timeouts. You were a quarterback at USC and at Pitt. Are you just going to send a field goal kicker out with 6 seconds left, or take 1 shot at it?
I'm sending the kicker out.
All right. That's because you just saw it.
I'm sending the kicker out.
That's because you just saw it.
6 seconds left. I didn't have Haynes King's mobility. It wasn't even different frame of mind. To take the points, and what a drive this was. Haynes King, I mean, say one thing about the completion percentage, but his legs has been an absolute weapon. And that's what most people, I think, especially looking back to last year, like, all right, Haynes King, dual threat guy, got to worry about his legs. The arms come on this year, but this drive especially, man, what a weapon that is.
27 rushing attempts, 214 yards. That's an average of 7.9 per carry. King 6 carries for 72. Haynes 10 for 77. Alexander's had a good day. 6 for 40, including a touchdown. And you have a total, like you said, of 55 passing yards.
It's a sign of a great offense, too, when you can be productive in different ways. You don't have to just do it one way. One week it can be Haynes King's arm. Last week it was Jamal Haynes' legs. It can be a Malik Rutherford afternoon. And today it's been Haynes King's legs.
29-yard field goal try is good. So when North Carolina scored that touchdown, you thought, yeah, you know, is Georgia Tech going to air it out? Are they going to try to go down the field with less than 40 seconds? They handed it off on first down, and they get nearly a 40-yard run, and they turn that into 3 points.
We get another 2-minute drive in this ball game too. It'll be interesting to track what Jeff Collins, North Carolina defensive coordinator, does in that moment. Pretty solid first half. I think he's going to be frustrated with that, just giving up the 2 run plays in 2 minutes. Or does he go with a more aggressive strategy if in the fourth quarter another 2-minute drive comes up?
Collins, a former head coach at Georgia Tech, was let go. 10 wins, 28 losses as they were trying to make that transition. Well, he was trying to make that transition after all those years of running the triple option.
Yep.
And, you know, look, you know, Collins wouldn't get into it. But you and I both know, I mean, you've forgotten more about it, Max, than I'll ever know. But when you build a roster with the triple option as your offense, that's going to look a lot different, your players, than your traditional kind of roster you want to build, right?
Without a doubt. I mean, you're going to have double-digit scholarship running backs on your team versus most rosters have 5 scholarship running backs, you're not going to have a ton of receivers versus nowadays, a lot of people do 3 and 4 receiver sets. You're going to recruit smaller, more athletic offensive linemen. Not ideal when you run a different scheme. So it's a tough job for anyone to take on.
Well, that's the way the first half will come to an end. And it was a good first half, exciting first half. A lot of big runs.
And a penalty that was not impactful to the run play. I think he explodes regardless. Sometimes those run plays don't happen without the holding. That was one that North Carolina's going to look back and wish they had back.
Yep, because they were forced to punt on that drive.
Opportunity here, though. Start the second half with the ball. Get momentum back on your side.
All right, here we go. Second half is underway at Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, on the campus of the University of North Carolina. 20-14 Tech. Trevor, what's happening with Mack Brown?
Max, if I didn't know any better, I swore you'd have talked to Mack Brown yourself, because the exact formula that he's hoping to flip for the UNC side of things is exactly what you talked about. Making sure they kind of prevent the ball control game, they run the ball themselves, and prevent the costly mistakes like that holding penalty and like the turnover that gave that Georgia Tech offense life and allowed them to get down the field as quickly as they did at the end of the half.
Max Brown, there's something there.
There's
something
no
there.
doubt.
We're cut from the same cloth.
I mean, there's only a 285 win spread between the two of you as a coach.
It was funny when I was prepping for this game and taking my notes. I'm like wired to type out Brown with an E at the end because my last name is the weird one, and I was like every time typing out Mack Brown, it was Mack Brown with an E, and I was like, no, that's not how you do it.
It's hard to believe it.
You
and I were both caught off, I think surprised, not caught off guard, that he is one of only 3 active coaches in college football today to win a national championship.
How wild is that?
Yeah.
And it speaks to why people are so excited about the 12-team playoff, bring parity back to college football. The fact that we're in a sport where only 3 active head coaches, and obviously as I say that, Nick Saban just retired, of course, but only 3 active head coaches have won it all. That will change in the next decade ahead.
Some of the leaders for the Tar Heels, 107 rushing yards for Hampton, but again, 71 of the 107 on 1 run. Caleb Hood is checked into the backfield on this 3rd down. Opening drive of the second half, and Carolina trailing by 6. Oh boy, that's going to be a penalty. There is no doubt about it. I mean, come on. Kyle Leffert throws his hands up in the air. He nearly decapitated Bryson Nesbitt.
I am surprised he's getting up. That was a vicious hit. He got underneath the chin strap, too, or underneath the bottom of the face mask, I should say. That's always the scary ones, because you get the whiplash in the neck.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness for a late hit with targeting. Defense, number 4, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. Targeting components, further review.
Yep, they're going to take a look at it and decide whether or not effort can stay in this game.
And that, to me, is clear as day. You're lunging to the head or neck area. You're using the crown of the helmet as well. That checks both boxes.
All right, we'll take a timeout. This is CW Football Saturday presented by Verizon.
After further review, there is no targeting on the play. Number 44 remaining in the game. The personal foul is still being enforced.
Well, you get a couple of looks at it here. And we will check in with Mike Mothershed, fourth member of our broadcast team. And what do you think, Mike? Well, you're spot on, and that's exactly the decision that they ultimately reached. And the first play back, and it's a big one. Paysor to the 35-yard line, so Efford is allowed to stay in the game. It was a 15-yard penalty.
It's a big moment, too, as we're seeing the completion here from Criswell. Good job, again, that quick passing game. To me, I saw that as, yes, he hit him in the chest, but it goes up to that neck area. I thought it was more bang-bang than that, but it's a key moment in this game because Eford's able to stick in. It's a thin linebacking group for Georgia Tech, with him still being able to play. That's huge.
Hampton is dropped by Seymour on a first down carry of a couple of yards. 1 yard. It'll bring up second down and 9.
Yeah, if he were to be ejected, you have a 17-year-old true freshman in his backup and a banged-up E.J. Lightsey as well. So that's key for Georgia Tech. But on the flip side, that was a third down call. Could have got North Carolina off the field. Instead, they get the penalty yardage and keep rolling.
Second down, wide receiver looking to throw the football. And that's just getting a little too cute. I mean, that's the second time they've looked at that today. And this one is a huge loss. I mean, it looks great when you pull it off, as Tatum is down for Georgia Tech, but man, when it doesn't work, it is ugly.
And if you're Jordan Shipp, it's a young mistake. He's a true freshman right there. If it's not there, throw it away. Chuck it into the front row. Don't take a huge loss that stops the momentum you establish in this drive.
Tatum able to pop up. Getting better and better every week, as they've been able to at least spell him from time to time. That was a big part of this Georgia Tech defense in our visit with Brent Key, is that, you know, you got to get some guys some breaks and have backup players, even if it's 10, 15 snaps per game.
Totally. That's what I always say. That's why it's so huge that Kyle Eford's able to play. Hopefully Tatum, as we saw right there, is healthy, able to get back in this game.
All righty, so it's third and forever. 3rd and 22. They need to get all the way down to the 27-yard line. And they set up the screen. They dump it off to Darwin Barlow. He cuts it back into the middle of the field. Got a big chunk of it back to the 32. I got to believe they may go for it here.
Yeah, I didn't like that defensive call. They were so soft. They were playing almost like you're gearing up for a Hail Mary in the end zone, but they had no one underneath at all, and you allowed the easy catch and run and make it a decision here. Could have gone. I get playing soft in coverage, but that's too easy.
Caleb Hood checks into the backfield. And on 4th down, throw across the middle. Boy, that's a tight window on a 4th down call. And it's incomplete. So Georgia Tech able to get off the field.
What coverage this was by Warren Burrell. We talked about his buddy Amari Harvey on the other side. Well, right here, Burrell's the other corner. Seeing the ace ump cam, little slant right behind there. That is phenomenal coverage on 4th down. You're sticking in man coverage. You're trusting your secondary members. Tennessee transfer coming up big.
All right, so now we get our first look at the second half of the Georgia Tech offense. Haynes King. Who had a big first half on the ground. He will hand it off on 1st down. And that is Jamal Haynes.
Haynes, the ball carrier.
You know, they got the football in the hands of a lot of runners in that first half. You got Haynes. He's now got 11 carries. You've got Haynes King, who has 6. Alexander with 6. A couple of wide receivers with a total of 3, and the backup quarterback. And why call anything else? If you're running for almost 8 yards a carry, why do anything else, Trevor?
That's exactly right. Stick with what's working, no doubt about that. Now, in regards to the injury front for Georgia Tech, number 86 tight end Godey is out for the remainder of the game. He came out of halftime dressed in his travel clothes.
And right on cue with no Godey in this game, Georgia Tech this week had to put true freshman backup tackle Harrison Moore in a tight end jersey. He's in the backfield here in number 44, so that's an offensive lineman body.
Well, they don't appear to be missing a beat. As here's Alexander, another big gainer. We talked about this young man, a walk-on. Earlier this week, he receives a scholarship. He has scored a touchdown in the game, and he's on his way to a career best day.
And it's running right behind, like we just said, big Harrison Moore. When you're down a roster after a roster spot, tight end spot's thin, have to get creative in your formations, put an offensive lineman in the backfield, another lead blocker.
This is basically another run. It is a completed pass to Avery Boyd. And another excellent pickup, a gain of 8.
And Boyd's more their package guy tight end, but as I see it, he's really, Boyd and Harping are the only 2 tight ends they can get to. Harping's young, true freshman, not a ton of experience at all, so when they do pass to the tight end spot, expect Boyd to be their guy. This is that formation that gave North Carolina fits in the last drive before the first half. 2 receivers on each side and tucked close to the sideline.
Quarterback keeper, you're right. And that's what he did. He faked the handoff to Haynes, keeps it himself, and that's another first down to the North Carolina 29.
It's so tough because you spread them out, and then these outside linebackers and safeties that are used to getting involved in the run game, they have to respect the receivers. They have to go out there with them. And so when you read this defensive end and pull the ball, those defenders are put in a tough spot. It's funny, we were talking with Buster Faulkner, Georgia Tech's offensive coordinator. Get back to that.
They're going to throw it on first down, and that's another first down. Inside the 15. Catch made by Singleton Jr.
Just saying, Faulkner's got a cool background too. Worked under Todd Monken at Georgia, 2 national championships as an analyst. Now coming here to Georgia Tech, and it's a different scheme, but using some of those elements.
He got the reputation while under Nick Saban in Alabama of being a big-time recruiter. In fact, 24/7 Sports named him the #1 recruiter as an assistant coach in all of college football. More yards on the ground, another significant gain on first down. And he has taken that calling card right with him to Georgia Tech. They had the 7th best recruiting class in 2024 in the ACC, 33rd nationally. Looking ahead to next year's class, they have the 3rd ranked class in the ACC and the 18th ranked class nationally. It's pretty good.
It's a unique combination too. No judgment, but offensive line coaches are not usually the best recruiters in the program. So when you have a guy who can recruit, and then when you hire an offensive line coach, you know your identity is going to be physical in the trenches. It's a good combo.
Quarterback will find the end zone. Fake the handoff, and King just breaks it off the right side. And how about that turn of events? You get a 4th down stop defensively and march right down the field for a touchdown. Man, can this team run the football, or at least North Carolina can't stop the running game.
Georgia Tech's found something. It was late in the second quarter. That zone read, defensive end crashes. Haynes King pulls it around the edge, and there's just no edge-contained defender for North Carolina, and Georgia Tech's been able to take advantage.
So King finds the end zone on the ground for the 2nd time in the game. 27-14 Tech. You're watching CW Football Saturday, presented by Verizon. We mentioned that's something the Yellow Jackets have not done since 2014, and that was a year you may remember. They went 11-3 and wound up winning the Orange Bowl. Look out here, big return, and that's McCollum out close to the 40-yard line, so we'll see if North Carolina can try and answer. And let's check in with the guys back at our studio, Mike and Ron. Well, there's some drama, Mike. I mean, you're spot on, Mike. The Omarion Pitts, thank you, fellas. You know, that scoring drive, I mean, they went right down the field on Alabama. That was a 15-play, 80-yard drive to take that lead. You don't see that much against the Tide.
No, you do not. No, you do not. And, man, I feel like it's just the start of the drama today with the big-time matchups we have.
Yep.
With what happened last week.
Oh, no doubt. Of course, one game I failed to mention, your former school, USC, will be hosting Penn State today. Penn State ranked 4th and undefeated. Catches made by the tight end Nesbitt, and that'll be a first down to the 45-yard line. Long way to go in this one, just under 6 minutes in the third quarter. The fourth quarter, though, is the quarter that has been a house of horrors for North Carolina this season. Especially the last couple of weeks, games they felt like they could have and should have won.
On the flip side, the fourth quarter has been great to Georgia Tech. Yep. Come from behind win last week.
Take it to Hampton and looking for the big ball down the sideline, and excellent coverage down there. It'll bring up second down. Cullivant, first time we've called his name today. And great coverage by LaMiles Brooks.
And that's one thing I'd love to see more of from this North Carolina offense, too, is more the play action, which we'll get back to here shortly.
Our aerial coverage presented by Lucas Oil. First little feel of autumn we have had so far, at least in our football season. There's no gain on second down to Hampton. I mean, the mornings and late nights dipping into the upper 40s. Guy like you, that's not good news.
Touche. What I was saying earlier, though, is that incomplete pass was one of the first, true play action reads we've had. And if I was a North Carolina fan, that's something I'd want more of. And when you have an NFL running back there, your passing game should roll off of the running game. North Carolina does a lot of dropbacks, very little RPO play action, where you force this defense to really account for Hampton and then throw off the back of it.
Blitz coming. He got rid of it in a hurry, and that is well done. Able to stay on his feet. First time we have called John Copenhaver's name today. I mean, they have a couple of really good pass-catching tight ends.
Let's check this out from the ace ump cam. A little slant route to the right of the ump. Big physical receiver, 6'3", 240. We've talked a lot about Bryson Nesbitt. Copenhaver, strong catch there.
Yeah, both these guys, very dependable. I mean, the two of them have combined coming into play today for 37 catches and over 450 yards. That is Caleb Hood off the right side, sniffing the 30-yard line. Got to the 31. And we have another injured player on the field. And you can see frustrating. Is that Eford down there? Yep.
Tom, it doesn't get more joyous than this. In a day in which they're honoring Tylee Craft, his buddy J.J. Jones, who's wearing his jersey, scores the 13th point in honor of number 13 for Carolina in the first half.
That is great stuff indeed. North Carolina trying to get more than that. A little shovel pass. It was caught by Hampton, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage. 27-14. 3.5 to go in the third.
And this is the second screenplay that Jordan Vandenberg, defensive tackle for Georgia Tech, right place, right time, sniffing it out. You can see the body control and the ability to break tackles by Omarion Hampton. But again, Jordan Vandenberg was a player of the week for the defense last week, and 2 stops so far in this game.
Well, he's a transfer from Penn State. He was a very heavily recruited player and then was injured all of last season. So he's just starting to get his legs back underneath him for this year and playing very, very well. 3rd down and 10. Criswell looking down the field. Lets it fly, and it's incomplete. Nowhere near the intended receiver, Nesbitt. So 4th down in Carolina. It's going to be a long field goal now. Now we know that Burnett has enough leg to get it there. He's hit from 52 already this season. And that's his only try from beyond 50 yards this season.
I think on that play, too, there was miscommunication because Criswell was rolling to his right, and he had receivers running right to left away from him. Had no one to throw to outside the running back check down. So missed opportunity there and have to lean on your kicker.
And this one right down the can. Well done. 50-yard field goal is good. Burnett 2 of 2 from 50 and beyond, and that brings North Carolina within 10.
Yeah, right here you have a receiver working this way, and as Criswell rolls to his right, he has no one to throw to outside of the running back leaking to his right. But you can tell protection-wise, they're setting it up to be an easy little dump-off pass, and you just have no options to throw to. Not sure if it was a spacing issue or what it was, but for a 3rd down, got it. Sources tell me they're real good.
Well, their legendary head coach retired just before the start of this year. Let's send it back to Mike and Pitsy. Fellas. All right, fellas, I know you'll keep us up to date on what's going on in that Alabama-South Carolina game as well. Alexander on a 1st down carry, smothered at the line of scrimmage. We are ticking down to 2:30 remaining in this 3rd quarter. And Georgia Tech trying to go to 5-2 on the year with a 10-point lead.
Question for me on this drive is, can North Carolina mix things up and contain on the edge? It's been the issue basically the past quarter of football. Or does Georgia Tech just keep going back to the well and what's been working with Haynes King reading that defensive end, pulling it and running it off the edge?
They're going to throw it. That's a safe throw. Just sitting right down at the 30-yard line, able to make a catch for a 5-yard gain is Singleton Jr. So this is a big 3rd down. I mean, I know we have an entire quarter plus left to go, but can North Carolina get off the field and get the ball back?
This is where, if you're Jeff Collins, you're in a guessing game. Georgia Tech can get to a lot of different things here. You can go the jet sweep and get on the edge with the receivers carrying the ball. You can trust Jamal Haynes out of the backfield running the ball. Again, he's a former receiver. You have Haynes King's ability to throw the ball and run the ball. Just a lot you can get to.
5-man rush and overthrown. Alexander came out of the backfield. It's incomplete. King has not been sharp today. We talked about how good his completion percentage was, among the best in all of college football, 3rd best in all of college football to be exact, coming in at 74%, but not today.
He had Chad Alexander open in the flat. Credit the rush from Bo Atkinson. We've called his name a couple times, showing up, doing just enough to hurry that throw and make it inaccurate.
So Carolina, nearly blocked it. Low line drive punt. And Huzzy a big return. He's across the 40, the 35, the 30. He will race to the end zone. No penalty flags. Touchdown, Carolina. Elijah Huzzy, who was an FCS All-American return man in his days at East Tennessee State, He had a punt return for a touchdown against Pitt and a punt return for a touchdown here against Georgia Tech. The one against Pitt came a season ago. That's his first one of this year. And now all of a sudden a point after away, and we have basically a brand new ball game. It was 27-14 seemingly moments ago.
North Carolina was able to get pressure on this punter. Therefore, it was a low line drive punt. You make the first one miss, and then that cut right there. It felt like the Georgia Tech punt team thought he was going to work to his left. He cuts back to his right, finds that vacated zone. And we were critical of him a couple times early on in the game for not catching punts. Good things happen when he does catch punts. Right there, taking one to the house.
Told you he did it against Pitt a season ago. And he was among the very, very best, if not the best, in the FCS before he transferred to North Carolina.
Such a good job of getting upfield, too. Right into the teeth of the punt team. Don't go to the edges. That's where guys can run and rally. You make one cut. That's what Devin Hester back in the day was so good at. One cut, find the seam, and go. Man, that changes the entire complex of this game. Helps out your quarterback for North Carolina. Georgia Tech, who had all the momentum in the world in the third quarter. Now, that is totally flipped.
Alrighty, so here we go. We have 1:10 left to go in the third quarter. And this one through the back of the end zone, and out we bring it to the 25-yard line. If you're looking for a cable news network that respects all Americans, then you have your new home with News Nation. See why News Nation is America's fastest growing cable news network. To find News Nation on your screen, go to joinnn, as in newsnation.com.
Feel the energy in this stadium switch. Fans are standing, sidelines getting into it.
Let's see if they go back to the run game. They will on first down. And nowhere to go. The first man there was Travis Shaw, and we've talked about this former five-star high school recruit out of Greensboro, North Carolina, who's played in 30 games the last couple of years, but just now maybe starting to turn that corner.
And this is textbook. He's at the defensive tackle spot, engages the offensive guard, pushes him back into the backfield, and has a two-way go. He can release the guard to his right or left, complete command, tosses him away, and comes up with a play in the backfield.
A loss of 5 on first down. And wide open. The catch is made for a first down in the 40 by Malik Rutherford. How about that?
Want to stop the run. Something's got to give here in the fourth.
27-24. Georgia Tech in front. Going to throw it on first down. And they sling it, airmailing the intended target, Rutherford, and man, what a shot delivered on King by Rucker.
One of the first times we've called Rucker's name, too. Again, he's a beast. He's a game changer on the edge. Back healthy this week. Puts a lick on Haynes King.
Only 2 games this entire year.
Rucker has 17 career sacks. Fourth quarter, when you're trying to heat things up on a quarterback, he's got to have a few big plays here.
Back to the run game. I just, for the life of me, don't understand why they ever throw the ball. That'll be an 8-yard run.
We'll glance at the ace replay, and you can see Jamal Haynes. Haven't called Jamal Haynes' name in a little while. Bursting through the 8-gap. As you said, Tom, that's an easy 6-7 yard run, but another third down.
I mean, look, we know King can hurt you in the air. There's no denying that. But the way you're running the ball today, and that goes back to the old Barry Alvarez days when he had Ron Dane. Why would you ever do anything else but just give it to him?
That zone read play has been working.
And there it is. And there's a first down. I mean, it's like clockwork. And North Carolina just can't stop it.
And that one right there, that was not a quarterback read. That's a design quarterback run. You can tell they're using the jet sweep to get the defense working to the left and then blocking the tight end back on the defensive end for Haynes King to go right downhill. It's funny, I mentioned it. Zach Pyron, his backup quarterback, comes in at the goal line, but Haynes King, he's a totally capable short yardage runner.
How about that cutback right there by Alexander? He looked like he was in trouble behind the line of scrimmage and finds a way to pick up close to 5. We'll call it 4. 2nd down and 6. I mean, look, you're not going to be great every game with your accuracy, although he has been pretty much all year long. But 10 of 21, he's missed some open throws. But they've run it so well. He's run it so well. Oh, confusion there, and then he throws it, or was there? They tricked Carolina big time, and that went all of a sudden inside the 20, and that's Luke Harping. You know, we were talking about basketball earlier. His dad, Matt, one of the all-time great players at Georgia Tech. His jersey's retired.
So they're going to give a dive action here within the tight end leaking into the flat. Only problem is running back goes the wrong way. Except it works out perfectly because then North Carolina thinks it's a busted play. They suck in towards the box thinking that they smell blood in the water. Get out of order, and Luke Harping, true freshman tight end, leaks into the flat.
Well, his dad was some kind of player, first-round pick in the NBA. And the quarterback keeper inside the 10. And that'll be another first down. It's 1st and goal for Georgia Tech. They have answered the bell on this drive.
You see the ace cam, and they're coming right at you. Lead blocker, running back getting in the way. You said it, Tom. It hasn't been a passing game for Georgia Tech, but that's the sign of great teams. They can beat you in different ways, and they can beat you when different guys' numbers are being called. Today, we've seen a lot of Chad Alexander, former walk-on. It's been a banged-up running back room. No Trey Cooley, no Trelane Maddox, and then tight end-wise, banged-up tight end room as well, yet the true freshman stepping up with the big play earlier.
Handed off to Haynes, and he's wrapped up. Tackled at the 4-yard line. 2nd down and goal. We saw North Carolina able to stand up on a 2nd and goal from the 1. A penalty moved Georgia Tech back even further. And one of the rare times Georgia Tech has not scored a touchdown in the red zone this year. Look at those numbers. Over 200 rushing yards from 2 guys, Haynes and Haynes.
What a combo that is. Anytime your quarterback's rushing for over 100 yards, that's being a difference maker. So hard to account for if you're the North Carolina defense. So focused on stopping the running backs and the receivers that can get involved in the run game. When your quarterback can do it as well, it's the triple threat.
2nd down and goal. And into the end zone it is. A touchdown, and that's Jamal Haynes. He was able to drag a Carolina defender with him. And after North Carolina had ripped off 10 unanswered, that's a big touchdown to make it a 2-possession game.
This is a mindset run, running right behind their big right guard, Keelan Rutledge. Jamal Haynes just pumping those legs. He might not be the biggest guy, but he packs a punch. You can smell the end zone, and he finds a way to cross it.
Point after is good. 11:18 to go. And the lead swells back to 10 for the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech.
Here we go.
Yeah.
How long did you spend here?
Not long. My mom and dad, you know, back in those days, people used to get married very young. You know what I mean? They got married very young.
Yep.
Yeah. So my sister and I were both born here, and both parents going to school here, and it's a cool place. Been to a lot of basketball games in this town. My all-time favorite Tar Heel was George Karl. You know, everybody else jumps on some guy named Jordan on that bandwagon, right? Or Worthy or Perkins or, you know, some of those guys. I was a George Karl guy.
Why?
Stud.
Love that.
Just gamer.
Love that.
He helped lead Carolina to the Final Four. I believe it was 72, if I'm not mistaken. They lost to Florida State in the semifinals. That was before Florida State was in the ACC. long before. All right, here we go. Hampton in the backfield, but you're down 10 with just under a full quarter to go, and that's a good way to start a drive. Oh, the ball is loose. Was the runner down, or are they calling that a fumble? I believe they're saying it is a fumble, although they certainly will take a look at it. McCollum caught it, but who's in the bottom with a football? And the signal is given Georgia Tech.
Throwing on the field is a completed catch, fumbled, and then recovered by the defense. Georgia Tech football, first down.
So there you have it.
Amari Harvey, the safety, came away with this. Let's see if he completes the catch. Yes, he does. Now the question is it punched out? And it looks like it's coming out before that left knee comes down. Just thinking right before they snap the ball, this needs to be a Nate McCollum drive. Down 10, get your best receiver involved.
Saw Tatum, as you mentioned, popped it out of there with his right arm.
Swarming Yellow Jackets. Yep, that's out. That's clearly out. And Harvey clearly ran away with it. That's going to be a turnover going the other way.
Well, it's already a two-possession game after that touchdown a moment ago from Georgia Tech. And now they're going to, I guess, just give Mack Brown an explanation. You know, there have been a lot of articles written pro and con about this second go-round for Mack Brown. I mean, anybody who spends 10 minutes around the guy, you can't help but absolutely love him. I mean, he is first class as it gets all the way. And he has had a Hall of Fame career. He's already in the College Football Hall of Fame. This is his second go-round now at North Carolina. He had some great years here before he picked up and took off for Texas. You can never blame a guy for taking that kind of a job. But they're 41-30. They've been to a bowl game in each of his 5 years since he came back.
We're seeing Zach Pyron in the game because of a hit right here. Remember, this was in the first quarter. This was in Haynes King. That shot was in the first quarter. This shot right here is after last possession where there was 3 trainers around him discussing something, whether it's hand, shoulder, not totally sure. Again, he's played 2 full quarters of football with it. But now that you're up 10, I don't know if this is a, hey, we feel confident and comfortable in our backup quarterback, or if there is a more serious concern for Georgia Tech.
Well, you know, we certainly can piece 1 and 1 together here, Max, in that it probably has a lot to do with him being inaccurate today. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
11 for 22, only 127 yards passing. This game's certainly not done by any means.
This will be a 3rd down and 5 for Pyron.
Man coverage across the board. When the offense turns back, can you get to your favorite man beater, and then they're going to let this play clock roll.
He's only thrown 6 passes all year long, and he plays in every game, but they basically bring him in to run the ball down around the goal line. This is CW Football Saturday, presented. The lights have been off for about a month. Handoff. Actually taken by Pyron, the quarterback, on a 3rd down keeper. They're just going to keep the clock rolling and go ahead and punt it. You lead by 10 with 9:27 to go.
And trust your defense. Don't put the ball in jeopardy. 3rd and 5. Many people might have thrown that ball. Like we've talked about, Pyron's more their goal line. I don't want to say wildcat because he is a quarterback, but you kind of knew that play call was coming.
This will be a 49-yard try. And it would be his season long, and he pulls it to the left. Now, earlier in the game, we saw the North Carolina go wide left at that end of the field, and now it is Aiden Burr's turn.
And that's not insignificant, because if North Carolina gets into field goal range here, from a decision standpoint, they could elect to, if they do get stopped, to kick a field goal, knowing that it's only a 10-point game rather than a 13-point game. You have to score 2 touchdowns. That was close.
All right, so we have 8:59 left. Criswell, the quarterback. He's 13 of 22, 166 yards. He has a touchdown. Under pressure, rolling left. And he'll keep it himself and step out of bounds across the 35-yard line. Great looking aerial coverage today, brought to you by Lucas Oil.
Coming into this game, Chip Lindsley, North Carolina's offensive coordinator, challenged his receiver group, knowing that he's got an inexperienced quarterback, an offensive line trying to settle in, says, hey, my receivers need to come down with contested catches. This 8:28 left in this game has got to be a huge moment for this receiver group.
Well, they hand it off on second down. You're trailing by 10 with 8:17 to go. Biggers stepping in there to make the stop.
Yeah, they're trying to get their best player of the football, but you said it, Tom, with down 2 scores in the fourth quarter. That's not good blocking, but credit the activity of this Georgia Tech defensive line. We talked about this unit is the most improved unit in the country when it comes to rushing defense from last year to this year.
Third down, trailing by 10, and the ball is dropped. It would have been a first down and just dropped by McCollum.
You have to wonder how much did the fumble on the previous drive impact this, of maybe just being uneasy. He's their best receiver, sure-handed guy, but mentally having the fumble the last drive and going back right there and missing a catch he'd make in his sleep. That's tough.
Well, this is pretty much a game right here. If you move the sticks, you got a fighting chance with just under 8 to go. If you fail on this fourth down, Tech already leading by 10. And a timeout before this very important fourth down. And we'll take a timeout with them. You're watching CW Football Saturday, presented by Verizon.
Has proven to be too much for the Tar Heels so far today.
All right, fourth down. Need to get to the 42-yard line for a first down. 4-man rush. Criswell rolling. He's going to run it, and he will pick up the first down up to the 45-yard line. So still a fighting chance.
This is a great job by Criswell. 4th and 8. It's so easy to sit in the pocket and try to force something, but he's trusting his legs, which he can do that. Haven't said that much today. He's got a big frame, too, coming up with the first down, leaning forward.
Oh, the crowd booing. There's a injured Yellow Jacket right at midfield, reaching for a right leg.
For an injured player of the defense.
You know, this is something you may have read earlier today. This has become a hot button topic as it pertains to Ole Miss.
Yep.
This was something we saw early in the season, and not saying guys were faking injury. We don't know. And nobody knows. But there are schools that have played Ole Miss over the last 4 or 5 weeks where every one of them has gone to their head of officials in their respective conference. They have then taken it to the Southeastern Conference and now to the very head of all officials in the governing body.
As we're watching right here in the middle, 44, their middle linebacker. You can see both guys are trying to say, hey, who's injured? I mean, that's as obvious as it gets. I mean, that's faking an injury when you pull your hammy and, oh, you're good 2 seconds later.
First down, and a crossing pattern will keep the clock rolling.
And Tom, for me, I think the whole narrative around it has changed. I think Kiffin's mentality is like, if there's no rule against it, I'm going to keep doing it until I'm punished. It was almost frowned upon years ago, and then now it's, hey, everyone's doing it, my buddy's doing it, so I might as well.
And Brian Kelly, who will be the coach facing Kiffin and Ole Miss tonight down in Baton Rouge, would not get into it, but he said, hey, look, everybody knows that is not the way you're supposed to play. And he said, it's not for me to decide if guys are hurt or not, but it's happening all the time. And like you said, Max, when we did that game, Ole Miss against Wake Forest. Now you look at the final score and you're thinking, okay, well, it didn't make much of a difference in the outcome of the game. It was a blowout. But whenever there was some momentum, all of a sudden, a couple guys are down and all back in 1 or 2 plays later.
And I thought Dave Clawson had the most thought-provoking solution that I've heard is if you go down in a drive, you can't come back that same drive, period. And that's obviously tough for real injuries and guys that sprain an ankle kind of thing. But that would stop it in the game. I feel like we're heading that direction in years to come.
You might be right. Criswell to the 23-yard line, clock at 5:40 and counting. North Carolina trying to hurry up. Tech looking a little bit confused defensively, but now Carolina bails him out by checking off, and that clock continuing to run. 5:27, and you're down by 10. Only a 3-man rush, and the catch is made inside the 5, inside the 1, and the stop there. Jordan Shipp, and there's an injured Tar Heel on the field. I believe that's J.J. Jones, yes, who is wearing Kylie Kraft's uniform number here today.
An accurate throw by Criswell, and then what an effort by Jordan Shipp, the true freshman. You got defenders hanging around him. He pushes forward. Forward progress will probably get him, as we'll see the ump cam, the ace ump cam. Forward progress will probably get him to the 1.5, 2-yard line. That's a strong receiver play.
Well, Jones popped right back up, but there's another injured Georgia Tech player on the field. And that is Tajay Butler, freshman linebacker out of New Orleans. That Ole Miss story was a big story just this morning, and it has been the entire week.
Go right here, and we'll see the R in Carolina. Let's see his body language. He's good. He's good. He's good. He's looking around. He's down, and then he's down. That's tough.
Hampton gets the football, and he is stuffed right at the line of scrimmage for no gain. 2nd down and goal. North Carolina's got to pick it up. I mean, you've got to stop the other team. You have 2 timeouts left, and you haven't gotten it into the end zone yet.
You got an NFL caliber back. You got to trust him. Credit that play by Georgia Tech. Getting under his pads, too. Don't even let him get going. Crowd doesn't like this, but you got to let Georgia Tech sub.
That's right. Took the words right out of my mouth. Criswell rolling. Gonna run it, and he did not get there. Signal right there, waiting on it.
And that's big because you can lose up to 30, 35 seconds here by him staying in bounds. Be interesting to see if that 30 seconds matters. We might look back to that play of, hey, just throw the ball away. You're not going to get the pylon. Clock is just as valuable.
And they're not going to get there on this carry, or are they? Did he have enough on a second effort to get into the end zone? No signal. And apparently not. It's going to be 4th down and goal.
This looked close, and this was a grown man run by Omarion Hampton. There was nothing open. There was multiple Yellow Jacket defenders in the backfield. He's got 2 guys draped around him, keeps the legs churning. Shipp's in the way of his knee. That's close.
Now this does look to be of some note here. Number 27, Joshua Robinson, is down. Let's see, can you tell anything here?
Legs are still up there.
Yep, elbows not. That looks like a touchdown. Well, that's not the best angle in the world because you're not right along the goal line.
This is where the conversation around, hey, what's the call on the field, and so important. Need video evidence, clear video evidence to overturn that. controversy last week in the college football world, at least for my USC Trojans, in a call versus Minnesota that came down to a camera angle one way or another. Who was going to decide that ball game in a goal line run? It's always splitting hairs here. What a second effort, though, by Hampton. Wait, third effort. Ball's in his left hand. The knee is not down there.
Yeah, it was that elbow down. The hand was there, and obviously was starting to collapse under his weight. I don't know.
The elbow touches first. I don't think that the knees, to me, are not an issue here. His head touches first, short of the goal line. Does the ball reach over? And I can't tell which Georgia Tech defensive lineman that is, but he's right at the end zone and almost blocks him.
It'll be 4th and goal.
Play on the call on the field stand, so it is going to be 4th and goal. 3:46 remaining. Carolina, I think they're gonna wind the clock here. I don't believe there was a timeout called. I think it was an official's timeout.
Going into this game, North Carolina's left guard, Aiden Banfield, the true freshman, he's out. So they're in their backup left guard. You got a banged up center, Austin Blaski. Wonder if as a result they go to the right side.
Quarterback keeper right up the gut. Touchdown, North Carolina. So Criswell with a touchdown. And now with 3:27 to go, a point after will make it a very important point after. Will make it a 3-point game.
So close, just go with the QB sneak. Use the power of Hampton behind you to get you that extra inch to get across the goal line. Good job by this North Carolina offensive line, especially the interior, bowing up. That's a good Georgia Tech defensive line, finding a way to punch it in.
13-play drive that chewed up 5.5 minutes of clock. But it's capped off by a touchdown. This is a huge point after. And oftentimes we take these things for granted. Go talk to every coach in the country and ask them if they take it for granted. And it is good. So 34-31. Georgia Tech leads, 3:27 left. North Carolina trying to rally to end a 3-game losing streak. Georgia Tech trying to have its best start in over a decade after the first 7 games of the year.
The question on this drive will be, is Haynes King healthy? They're going to have to roll with Zach Pyron, their backup quarterback. Have to think that could limit what they're able to do offensively with King's health in question. I'm sure Brent Key was hoping that when they sat King that last drive and Pyron went in there, they could put together a drive and put points on the board to put this game out of hand. North Carolina got the stop, got off the field, went right down the field, got a touchdown, and this is a ball game.
And, you know, kicking a field goal, I mean, his kicker has enough leg to kick a field goal. We've seen that already, but when you kick it from that far out, the other team's great field position there. If this thing doesn't work out, he'll be asked about it. Let's see if Haynes King has one more drive left in him or whether his day is over. Let's send it back to the studio and Mike Yam. Hey, Mike.
Fellas, just a quick update on Haynes King. Still in the injury tent. It appears his day is over, but they did say that they have faith in Zach Pyron to run the full gamut of the offense. It's just a matter of getting on the same page. As far as cadence, as you can see there.
Play a game on the defense. Exaggerated movements, a 5-yard penalty will be first down.
This is the last question I asked Jeff Collins in our meeting yesterday. He talked about using shifts on the defensive line to try to disrupt the timing of the offensive line, but it's an area of emphasis in college football. When you shift to the defensive line, you can't mimic the snap count to do that. That's what they got called on, and many people thought was a false start, ends up being a delay of game.
Haynes stuffed at the line of scrimmage. He didn't like an extra bit at the end. But man, when you're handing over and you're trying to get a 3-and-out stop and you're giving them 1st and 5, that's tough sled.
It's delicate. I can see what you're trying to do strategically, but like you said, give them a free 5. We haven't really seen the shifts for the defensive line the entire day, so to pull it out here, it's a bit unique.
Out of shotgun here, there's no way they're throwing the ball. No. And short of the first down is Jamal Haynes. It brings up 3rd down and 1.5 yards.
This is where that 2-minute timeout comes into play too. If Georgia Tech wants, they can roll it all the way down to the 2-minute. We've seen some coaches, if you're in Mack Brown's spot, elect to take a timeout here to not just give them a free 38 seconds. Looks like Mack Brown is not going to stop it, and they'll take this to the 2-minute.
Well, you know, that's kind of hard to figure why you wouldn't stop it here. I mean, you are basically just letting 32 seconds completely burn off this clock right now.
And we had it 2 weeks ago versus NIU, and they stole another possession by stopping the clock at 2:40.
Boy, that's a head scratcher. CW Football Saturdays presented by Verizon. This is the play of the game. I mean, we said that 5 minutes ago, but it was true then, and the same holds true now. It's 3rd down and a little more than 1 yard. And a flag comes in. If this is a false start.
Substitution infraction on the offense.
Oh, boy. And now it goes from 4th and 1.5 to 3rd, I beg your pardon, and 1.5 to 3rd and 6.5.
That's interesting. I think Georgia Tech was trying to be cute with substituting their personnel groups. But you can't have 12 men in the huddle trying to disguise what you're doing, and it backfired from them.
All right. You got Jamal Haynes in the backfield right alongside the backup quarterback, Zach Pyron. And Pyron going to keep it, and he will be denied first down yardage. So you figure Carolina spends a timeout here. You can't let another 40 burn off the clock. And that's exactly what will happen. So Georgia Tech, without Haynes King in the game, missing the last couple of drives. They were unable to convert on a field goal, their last one. They can't get a first down on this one, despite the fact that they started this drive 1st and 5.
It was Stick Lane and Power Eccles. Stick Lane coming from the safety spot, one-on-one with that QB. Zach Pyron, then his buddy Power Eccles comes in to help him out. Still have that one timeout if you're North Carolina, so you'll be 2-minute mode, but can still pass the ball in the middle of the field, knowing that you could stop the clock and tie it with the field goal if needed.
You know, we want to reiterate again our thoughts and prayers going out to Ty Lee Craft here today, battling stage 4 lung cancer, and J.J. Jones wearing his number. There you see the number 13, his jersey number. So many family members. He was unable to make it here today. And Ty Lee, I know you're dialed in. Can your guys pull it out? They've laid it on the line for you today. Bobbled snap. And that's a low line drive that's going to bounce out of bounds at the 34-yard line. I mean, things are unraveling at the seams here for Georgia Tech.
And that could have been a lot worse. They are lucky this ball is on the 36-yard line, because this had a favorable roll. You miss the snap. And remember, Elijah Huzzy already returned one this game. But for how low that kick was, that could have been blocked. That could have been picked up and returned. This could have been a lot worse.
All right, here we go. North Carolina with 1 timeout remaining, 1:45. King out of the tent, but right now he's watching his defense. 4-man rush and taken off the quarterback. He breaks a couple of tackles and dives ahead to the 45-yard line. Clock continues to run. 1:35. Once they reset it, under 2 minutes here, and now it's running.
The mindset for Criswell is if it's not open downfield, check it down to your best player, who's your running back.
And he's going to run it again. And nothing but green in front of him down to the 33. And remember now, the North Carolina kicker, 2 for 2 from 50 yards and out this season, including 1 today.
And if you're Jacolby Criswell, you got to be thinking touchdown. Don't even let this game go to overtime.
Criswell. And that'll be interference, I would think. Oh, boy. That looked like there was contact before that ball arrived.
Yes,
with an eye on Nesbitt. That's a break there.
We'll get Clayton Powell-Lee, safety number 5. Yeah, he was there early. That to me is a missed call. And what's interesting is it's right behind the umpire, so he almost doesn't have eyes on that. Obviously, there's referees in other areas. That's a bang-bang call that Criswell has every right to be upset with.
Stops the clock, 1:13, plenty of time to go. And North Carolina again with 1 timeout left. Dropped off to Hampton. And he is able to step out of bounds at the 26-yard line. That'll be just short of a first down. So it brings up a 3rd down and let's call it 2. Clock with 1:07 left.
This might be an opportunity to take a page out of Georgia Tech's book of they ran it and had a chunk run play in the 2-minute drive to end the first half. North Carolina can do the same thing here with Omarion Hampton. And again, that whole injury conversation we just talked about last drive showing up again here.
This time it's Romello Height in his 3rd stop. Auburn, USC, and now at Georgia Tech. And he's going to pop right up and head to the sideline. I mean, it's conceivable a lot of this is cramping. I mean, you know, look, you always want to look at, you know, it's this and it's that. And we don't know. We don't know. It doesn't look good, but we don't know.
Does give the opportunity for North Carolina to regroup with an inexperienced quarterback still trying to settle in, give him some messages. My message again would be, hey, if things aren't there, don't have to hold on to the ball. Find Hampton underneath and force these linebackers for Georgia Tech to make tackles.
All righty, 3rd down and 2. 1:07 to go. North Carolina trails by 3. They're going to run it. And that is a first down and then some for Hampton as he spun out of bounds. As there's a penalty flag. Did they stay with that tackle too long? If so, North Carolina is going to have the ball inside the 5-yard line. If this is a personal foul penalty, it's a 15-yarder.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, the late throw having a deep.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, Georgia Tech has just completely fallen apart. Had a 10-point lead in this game with 7 minutes to go. They give up a touchdown drive. They get whistled for a couple of penalties. They couldn't take advantage of a first down and 5. Wound up having to punt. And now it's at the 8-yard line. 1st and goal for North Carolina. A chance to win this game with a touchdown. Criswell had it batted right at the line of scrimmage. It's 2nd down, 57 seconds left.
This is usually where I would say it's Nate McCullum time for North Carolina, but after that drop, they've taken him out, elected to go with some different receivers. Wonder if they put him back in here. He's such a weapon. Can get him the ball in different ways.
McCollum is not back in there. Hampton in the backfield alongside Criswell. Four-man rush, and it's batted as well. That is an incompleted pass, I believe, or is it? Is that a fumble? It's picked up by the right guard, Lampkin, and I guess they're saying that was a fumble.
And if so, you need to think about taking your timeout if you're North Carolina. Wow, this is a huge call.
Oh, that's going to be changed. Or was it tipped? Because if it's tipped, all bets are off, right?
And it's just is the arm coming forward with control of the football? Is the hand coming forward with control of the football? That is close. And they're going to rule it on the field a fumble.
All right, Mike Mothershed, you're taking a look at this thing in the same time, real time that we are. What do you think? The ruling on the field is a fumble.
And 32 there, young Jewin was the guy called for the personal foul. So you talk about making up for a mistake, just a play earlier. I agree, it's bang, bang, it's close, but calling the field fumble.
It's really close. You know, if you just watch, let's go back to that again. If you just watch his right elbow, does it move forward at all? And I mean, right there, it looks like it's moving forward. But as Mike said, did he have control of the ball?
That is close. Is the ball?
Quarterback's hand was with the football, thereby making it an incomplete pass. To remain third down at the previous spot, the 9-yard line. Please accept the game clock to 52 seconds. North Carolina has not charged its final timeout, so they'll have one timeout remaining.
Okay, so it's an incompleted pass. They overrule the call on the field. So you're going to start again at the 9-yard line. These are back-to-back plays now where Criswell has had the ball or his arm batted in the process of throwing.
And the huge point there is North Carolina still got called for their timeout, so they have no timeouts now. So from a play calling standpoint, if before you could get away with a run play and have some buffer there, oh, and right on cue they bring the timeout back. So because it was a review, they're giving North Carolina their timeout back.
Yep, and they put time back on the clock from 38 to 52 seconds. Third down and goal. Blitz coming. Criswell. And it's dropped in the end zone. Copenhagen, it looked like the ball was on the money, at least from where we are. You be the judge.
This is phenomenal timing by Criswell. Copenhagen just let the ball get into his body, tried to body catch it. Got to use your hands in that scenario. The arm strength, the ball kind of snuck up on him a little bit. That's a bang-bang throw. And if you're Mack Brown in this scenario, I think the fact that Haynes King is out is a factor in this decision. If Haynes King was in, you might not like your chances in overtime. It might say, hey, this is our best shot. Let's go for it again. I know it's on the 9-yard line, but now with the backup quarterback going in, you have all the momentum on your side. I think this is an easy kick decision.
Powell Lee going to walk off under his own power. This will be a field goal try to tie the game in the final 48 seconds. You know, and when people talk about, you know, coaches and their jobs and should they stay and should they go, and there's been this whole thing around Mack Brown here locally, right? Well, I'm not here to defend whether he should be here or not, but that should be a touchdown and you win the game. End of story.
Play here or there.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, that's not on him. All right, so this will be a 26-yard field goal try to tie it. Noah Burnett. Good snap. Good hold. He nails it, and we are tied with 44 seconds remaining. North Carolina fell behind 10, 34-24. At every turn, Georgia Tech, which had everything going so right, over the last 7.5 minutes has had everything go so wrong and has blown the 10-point lead.
Let's take a look at today's player of the game, brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, and motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. And we're giving it to Jacolby Criswell. Really settled into this game. They asked a lot from him, especially in the second half. The 2 rush TDs really stick out. Protected the football for the most part. Came up with some big throws, big runs too in that last drive. Started the year as a third stringer. Doesn't feel like a third stringer today.
No, he does not. Of course, the big story, and Max just touched on it, is the unavailability of the starting quarterback, Haynes King. That one back through the end zone and out to the 25 now will be Zach Pyron. We told you Pyron coming into this game had scored 4 touchdowns, but all of them from 2 yards in. He has only thrown 6 passes for 57 yards, completing 4. He does have a touchdown this year. And there you see the numbers on Haynes King, who, you know, whatever his injury is, and we don't know exactly, we know that, you know, he came in with a 74% completion percentage, and he wasn't that guy today after the hit.
And remember, this exact same scenario happened in the first half. There was 38 seconds left, and Haynes King led him in 2 chunk run plays down and converted a field goal to end the first half. We talked about, does Jeff Collins, North Carolina's defensive coordinator, play that soft coverage again, or does he adjust from what happened in the first half and get more aggressive?
Marcus Allen, an excellent open field tackle right there. Clock down to 27 seconds. And they're going to run it, and it's explosion right down the middle of the field. You just said it, Mack Brown. Can you believe that? The final 40 seconds of the first half, they did it on the ground. And here a run goes for 68 yards and a touchdown. Oh, my goodness. That is absolutely unbelievable.
The same scenario, back-to-back halves. You're going to look back on this game, and it's going to come down to 2 2-minute drives and not passing, which that's the case for most teams, on the back of Jamal Haynes handing the ball off, finding a crease, and I'll see you for 6.
Max, how does this happen? I mean, how does this happen?
You get in such a mentality of it's 2-minute mode. We got to keep everything in front of you. You put in an extra DB. You have a lighter box. Even though there's 4 defensive linemen, guys not just filling in their gaps. You get 1 cut. Get to that second level quickly on the 3rd level, and that is going to be the area of emphasis on practice on Monday. On both drives, 1 cut, find the crease, 2-minute mode, and you're not gap sound.
1 year ago, Georgia Tech rushed for 348 yards against North Carolina. 348. Today, they've gone for 371 rushing yards.
And the most frustrating part there, if you're Jeff Collins, you're a North Carolina fan, Zach Pyron, the backup quarterback, only had 1 attempt the whole game. So you should be expecting the run. Not only did they do it in the first half with their starting quarterback, now they got the backup in there, and you still let them get away with it.
Boy, and the killer, of course, is if they get a touchdown, right? I mean, if it's a field goal, you feel like, okay, got a timeout left. 16 seconds maybe. Haynes rushed for a career time best 128 last week. Well, he is blown right by that. 170 rushing yards today. 11 seconds left. Good return out to the 40, 39-yard line. But this is just a crushing defeat for North Carolina, if indeed Georgia Tech hangs on over the final 11 ticks of the game.
You make the comeback. You got all the momentum on your side. You dominated this fourth quarter, only for one run play, and a similar theme to what happened in the first half to beat you.
Criswell rolling, fires far side, and that is a catch to the 46. 5 seconds left, so Hail Mary time. And we've seen it happen already in college football this year, as Harold now takes over at quarterback. He was a guy who played so well, you may remember, in their bowl game last year. And he was in a fight with Max Johnson at the start of this year to figure out who would be the starter. After Johnson got hurt, Harold led him back to a win against Minnesota. He got one start and was yanked. All right, here we go. Three-man rush. And Harold just going to step into this one and let it fly. And it is incomplete, and that's the end of the game. A touchdown run in the final seconds, the final minute of this game. And Brent Key has his Yellow Jackets off to their best start in over a decade. And for Mack Brown, that's 4 straight losses.